Hello again, one all to the newest weekly edition of my long-running series of Weird Mind Newsroom, which I believe is episode 91. We're in this week's episode that will come out around the same time as the Day of Love, sending Valentine's to everyone, including to one important person in particular, where I will be delving into a week of a fair amount of new releases, a couple of trailers to consume, and a few pieces of news to talk about as well. But let's not waste too long on intros, we have a lot to talk about. Let's delve into the discussion of all things media for this week.
The Star-Spangled Banner, we the flag.
So our big release of this week for the new releases is seeing return of something that has been a bit of a dry spell for one side of things, and as of course with the superhero movies. As yes, there was a few films based on characters from DC and the Spider-Man universe that would be classed in that era, they were more of the anti-heroes and villains side of things that are focused on, and instead we return to a new take on the Star-Spangled Man with a plan, and about to take on something bigger than they expected. As Sam Wilson will be taking the mantle of the Shield this time with the new MCU film of Captain America, Brave New World. The film will see Sam finding himself in the crossfires of an international incident after meeting with President Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, where he must soon discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. Now, reception on this first superhero outing of the year has been hit with a more mixed reception, that while the performances, especially towards Anthony Mackie having a big role to fill in this, and Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross, visuals and action have garnered so much of the praise, the film has been hit with a mixed critique of story elements being something we have seen before from Captain America stories, particularly Winter Soldier, but more convoluted, messy scenes from extensive reshoots and a very weak main villain, but may be enough to entertain overall. And if you want to check it out for yourself, then you can catch this new film out now in cinemas. But if the superhero affair is not the appeal and much prefer something with a bit more of a rom-com fit to check out the date night this Valentine's or Galentine's weekend, then thankfully you are in luck, as the iconic woman that writes in her diaries and has a dilemma with finding the right man is back for one more story, with the new entry of Bridget Jones with Mad About the Boy. The new film will see Bridget finally having some luck in her life with a great job as a screenwriter, her family, and a new boyfriend after the passing of an old fling. But the fact that he's over 20 years younger than her isn't the only thing that's causing problems, and soon another man arrives into her life and things get complicated. Reception on this final entry of the series, like the previous entry, has been very well received and is currently the best reviewed in the franchise, with praise for its humor, its heart, and the feel-good vibes of the return of a character many have grown accustomed to over the course of 25 years, coming to an end. And if you're up for a date night film, then you can catch this new film also out now in cinemas. But if you want some action but a bit more of a sense of romance and a bit of sci-fi horror mixed in there and want to stay in for a quiet date night in, then thankfully there is just the film for it, as Scott Derrickson is bringing an all-new film that has great dangers and the elements of longing love with his new film of The Gorge. The film follows two highly trained operatives as are appointed to guard towers to opposite sides of a vast and highly classified gorge, protecting the world from mysterious evil that lurks within, and they must work together to keep the secret in the gorge while also finding connection along the way. Reception on this new film has seen a bit of a mixed but modest reception, with praise to the concept, its theme elements, cinematography, and performances of the leads of Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy, with the former having a little bit of some mixed appeal to it as well as a strong first half. The film does falter a little in the second half once the focus is more of what lies below, but still a solid entry all the same. If you want to see what lies in the gorge, then you can catch this new film out now on Apple TV+. We're then going from action to the realm of animation for these next two movies, as we have an all-new film that has been making waves around the award season scene with a unique tale that may be seen as a form of coming of age with a little sense of relatability, as we have the all-new film of Memoir of a Snail. The film follows Grace Puddle, a small, awkward, snail-collecting, melancholic misfit learning to find the confidence within herself while dealing with the chaos and clutter of everyday life. Reception on this new film has been very highly praised, with praise of the stop-motion animation style, the story behind a sense of relatability, and having a good sense of heart in its right places, and well deserving of nominations for an Oscar in a tough competition for animated films this year. If you want to check it out for yourself, then you can do so now, as it's out now in cinemas. But on the streaming side for animated movies is with a new journey into a series that's nearly on par with Resident Evil in the multiple forms of adaptations, as we are joining Geralt on an all-new quest with the new film of Witcher, Sirens of the Deep. The film will see the Witcher being hired to investigate a string of strange attacks on a seaside village, where he will soon uncover an age-old conflict between the humans and sea people that will threaten the war between the kingdoms. Now, Reception on this title has seen a more mixed reception from critics and more underwhelming from audiences, though while some praise is going to the visuals and the returning performance of Doug Cockle as Geralt and Joey Bately as Jaskier and their banter in this film, the rest of the movie suffers from a story that's a little all over the place and some recognizable characters feeling a little less developed and more one-dimensional. But if you're interested to see how this new story will come about, then you can catch this new film out now on Netflix. By question, do you see romance as a form of a horror story? Well, maybe this new slasher film may appeal to your senses, as a new killer is ready to take some love in an all-new Bloody Valentine's with this new film of Heart Eyes. The film will follow a newly made couple who must deal with the terror and torment of a masked killer known as Heart Eyes, a masked maniac with glowing heart-shaped eyes on his mask that returns every Valentine's Day to terrorize unsuspecting couples and must stop them before he causes another Bloody Valentine's. Reception on this new slasher film is surprisingly very well received, with praise for its concept, its simplicity, and something that is seen as being goofy or half-assed turned out to be well made in execution. If you're up for a more violent date night, then you can catch this new film out now in cinemas too. And on the subject of the first of two video games for this week is with a focus that you have to wonder if you ever wanted to become an immortal being or had the power to change the course of history with people and concepts from the past and change them to how you see fit, as the iconic series returns once again from the mind of Sid Meier's with the newest entry of Civilization 7. The game will see you take the reins of the population of a planet throughout many points of history as you're tasked with one important goal of becoming empowered and building the greatest empire the world has ever known. Reception to this new entry, like many from the series, has received strong positive reception with the praise towards the concept, its functionality, and free reign to do whatever you see fit in changing civilization forever. And if you're up for playing the title yourself, you can do so now on PC and Mac, PS4 and 5, Xbox One and Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch. And our final new release for this week is seeing a return once again to one of the most iconic female protagonists in gaming history with another batch of updated classics, as Lara Croft is back again with the Tomb Raider 4-6 remastered that will see you play through the stories of Last Revelation, Chronicles, and Angel of Darkness as you shoot and blast your way through many dangers and secrets and uncover many deep treasures across the series, looking good while doing it. And one in particular, the important person I mentioned earlier, let's have a look to her. Reception on this remaster trilogy has seen a very array of mixed reception, as while the port does well in terms of options and package, the games in it, particularly 5 and 6, still have some of their issues in this new port as they did beforehand. But if you want to continue more of our adventures, then you can play this new title now on PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC. And with all that, that's all the new releases that we have for this week.
I don't care who the IRS sends, I am not paying taxes.
So the first of the trailers for this week is the only trailer I've gotten left to focus on from the recent Super Bowl. That's another superhero affair from the MCU, where instead of focusing on those that are more of the main heroes, getting ones that could be seen as heroes but more of a moral grey area, and the ones that are called when the Avengers may not be available to assemble, as we received another new trailer for the upcoming expendable team of the Thunderbolts. Asterix. The film will follow a group of anti-heroes find themselves caught in a deadly trap set by Valentina Alguera de Fontaine and are forced into a very dangerous mission that could bring them redemption and be seen as real heroes if they work together as a team and they don't try to kill one another in the process. So the likes of this one is unknown of how much will be affected from the recent Cap movie, if how it will play into this, but from what I have seen from all of those trailers is that they are some characters that we have grown accustomed to from previous entries, and what they have shown so far gives some great hope and sense that it has that underdog story vibe to it. The hope will come out on top in the end, and I'm looking forward to it. It'll probably be worth a watch when the film releases in the cinemas in about 3 months' time on May 2nd. Now the next trailer was teased at the Super Bowl in a TV spot, but we told a few days later we'll get a full footage for this. We'll get unveiled for it, as we have now a look at an upcoming live-action film soaring high above the lands. And this is not coming to us from Disney in particular, no, but rather from Dreamworks itself, of all places, as the realms of Vikings and dragons are about to collide, as we've received a new trailer for the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. The film will follow the story of the original 2010 movie that will tell the story of Hiccup, the son of the Viking chief of the island of Berk, who has a bit of a dragon problem, and in the process of a recent attack unexpectedly captures the fabled Night Fury dragon, where he will soon befriend it and name it Toothless, and will soon learn the secrets of all there is to learn about these species and change the course of Viking and dragon history in the process. So in a lot of ways when it comes to this series, I have a bit of a mixed appeal back when this first came out, when I think the first one is great. The second one was kind of of disappointing in my opinion back in the day, but maybe to give another watch to kind of see if it changed my opinion on it. And the third was a solid finale of a trilogy, and from the looks of this one is that they're going for scene what the original film had to offer. And there's a little concern of, was this necessary, or will there be more to this remake than first expected, because it's 20 minutes longer than the original movie. The most I can say is that seeing those flying scenes in the original in IMAX or even 4DX will probably be worth the appeal for it, but I guess we'll see how this soars or falls in the outcome when the film flies in the cinemas from June 13th. So we had a superhero and video game adaptation now in both categories so far, as this week we have been given another new look at an upcoming video game adaptation that may be more in name only, not as much in the realm of the original game's story. So while mystery and getaways may sound nice, unforeseen horrors may await for many when you least expect it, as you've got another new trailer for the upcoming adaptation of Until Dawn. Now the film follows Clover and a group of her friends who head off on a remote valley in search of her sister who had disappeared there a year ago. They are soon trapped in this location of a small cabin where they are horrifically murdered, only to find themselves back alive at the beginning of the same evening where it all began. Trapped in the valley, they are forced to relive the nightmare over and over again with a different threat each time and more terrifying than the last. They must try and survive until dawn to escape the horrors. Now, in all fairness, I feel in some ways that if you were to do this entire film as a scene-for-scene recreation of the game, it would feel kind of pointless to watch it, but also feels like the concept of the original games feels a little confusing for those that may watch it and expect it with the actual game itself if they decide to play it afterwards. I feel the approach of this makes a fair bit of sense overall, but also a bit of confusion. I do have a bit of worry with this approach of the variety of horror tropes may overwhelm the film, but from what they've shown, it seems decent enough, and the director himself is known for making some good horror movies in general, so I'll give this a chance, but I guess we'll see how it all comes together when the film releases into cinemas from April 25th. And the last of the trailers for this week is with a follow-up to a film from what I can see here came out of nowhere and was kept very quiet for a long time, but we never know when it may pop up in a new projects. This is one that the original film was actually decently good, and they're back to recount finances and deal with businesses once again, as we received a trailer for the surprise sequel to The Accountant. The film will see forensics accountant Christian Wolff, played by Ben Affleck, team up with a federal agent and his estranged but highly lethal brother, played by John Barenfall, to track down mysterious assassins and get revenge for their former associate who was killed by them. So like this getting a sequel in all sense probably made sense in concept, though I thought the first film had another way that it was all wrapped up nicely, but I guess they haven't found a good idea for a follow-up, but it could be worth a watch. While the trailer didn't fully blow me away heavily, I feel the full film may have more of an appeal with it all, but I guess we'll find out when the film releases into cinemas, also from April 25th. But with all of that, that's all the new trailers that we have for this week. Now heading into the realm of the news stories of the week, and for the week's starting story is the sudden surprise unveiling of what will be the first of the PlayStation State of Plays for this year. And while I would say this week's one was a bit underwhelming, there's a few that we will enjoy seeing coming along in the next few weeks, and let's delve into what was shown in this about 40-minute direct. So we started the event off with a new launch trailer for the soon-to-be released Monster Hunter Wilds coming out on February 28th, and gave a new look to get people excited, as well as the first of the planned free DLC pieces monsters coming out in the spring. I'm sure it'll be worth a return to this world in 2 weeks' time to hunt down massive creatures across these vast lands, but we'll see by then. The next title was a new entry from the long-dormant Shinobi series with a new side-scroller title with Art of Vengeance that has quite an appealing art style. I hope we'll see a wave more of these kind of games with this cool aesthetic and fast action, and we can see this play out when it releases on the 29th of August. And then we got a familiar gaming mascot coming back and hitting the speedways, as we got the unveiling of a new Sonic racing title with Crossworlds that will consist of going through multiple warp rings and experiencing new ways of racing, from cars, boats, planes, and even a callback mention to the games of Sonic Riders, which seems like quite an appeal. And while no release date has been given as of yet, there is a planned network test starting on the 21st of February for people to try them out for themselves. Following on that from Blue Blur was a turn to a series that had been a bit of a comparison to another popular series with gathering strange creatures across the land, was a new entry of Digimon announced, with a new game in the story series with the focus of going in something called the Time Stranger. I'm sure it would appeal for a lot of people in the due time when the game releases sometime in the near future. And a new JRPG that didn't have a name for a while finally was unveiled with the title of Lost Soul Aside, of a very action-heavy adventure with mythical powers and other elements coming to the console very soon. It'll be worth to see how this will appeal in due time when it releases on the 30th of May this year. We've then got a brief focus on the next entries involving the long-running series of the Like a Dragon franchise, with a confirmed demo for Pirate Yakuza dropping after the event before it releases next week, and then the confirmation of the game crossing over with the indie darling of Dave the Diver for some new holiday DLC that's coming out some point this year, but it could work. And then following those titles was a new expansion piece and next entry of WWE with The Park, and then we got some all new look at the next entry of Borderlands with some more new all gameplay and less dialogue, and the process was confirmed to get a full state of play focus on the title some point in the spring, and also an official release date now of September 23rd this year, which has now gotten many fans of the company of Take-Two, which also owns Rockstar, speculating the release dates for the next GTA title, but let's not delve too much into that because we could be here all day for that. We then got a new look at the story of the next game of the Dark Pictures series with Directive 8020, which has a vibe of what I would like to call 4K Among Us, just without the little beam people, and we also got a release date for this title of September 30th this year, so thankfully it's just in time for Halloween for some good old scares. And then we return to another horror franchise, an ongoing indie darling juggernaut of FNAF, as we have another new entry on the way with the next game of Secret of the Mimic, that will see some new characters and focus, including more focus on a character that was introduced in that FNAF Security Breach Ruin DLC, and we now got an official release date for this, with restarting our new job from June 13th of this year. We then got a new look at the stop motion horror FPS title of The Midnight Walk that has quite the Tim Burton aesthetic feel to it and has some nice appeal, and it'll be worth a playthrough when the game comes out on PS5 and the VR option real soon from May 8th of this year. And then a game I like to see is a mix of Playdead's Inside as well as Octodad Deadliest Catch with a game of Darwin's Paradox, as you play an octopus escaping a food processing plant and from the world overrun by aliens, and it seems like a goofy puzzle adventure and probably worth a try when it comes out some point later this year. The only game to release on the day of the event was a new top-down take on the classic series of Warriors with the game of Abyss that has you fight a massive armada as a one-man army. It could be fun to really go all beast mode on, and you can now play it on all consoles now in particular. And then we go by the way of the swords. We got two pieces of focus of the series of Onimusha, with the confirmed remaster of the second game of the series from the PS2 era coming out on May 23rd this year, and then a new entry unveiled at the Game Awards just a couple of weeks ago that's showing off the new footage and story for Way of the Sword, with that confirmed releasing some point in 2026. Now I did mention this one last week of some information of the leaked release date. We got the confirmation of the Snake Eater remake coming out for August 28th, and this new trailer shows up more of the great visuals and story of this entry, and confirming we're also getting that original game's Ape Escape minigame as well, and probably worth the thrill when it releases in the later part of the summer. And then we go to a new look at a Souls-like type game of Hell Is Us, of our protagonist in the hooded jacket and little drone companion traveling through a war-torn town and taking down those creatures that kind of look like the Spot from the Spider-Man comics, and we'll be taking the fight to them when it releases now on September 4th of this year. Then for one that got me excited of an announcement was the unveiling of the first DLC expansion for Lies of P, as you head to a carnival in the midst of a snowstorm season and take on some mysterious woman and her armada of enemies. Let me see how this all comes about when this expansion releases some point later this summer. Then a game that has a unique gimmick and interesting art style is a game titled Dreams of Another, that have you use the world and art of the odd dot art to shoot them to create paths through the story rather than destroying things. That's an interesting thing that has a confusing element, but maybe worth a try and release this some point later this year. Then we have another remaster from the PlayStation 4 era that's still not Infamous Second Son, Infamous First Light, Killzone Shadowfall, Knack, or Bloodborne. Is with the zombie horde biker game of Days Gone that comes with all the expansions, updated visuals, new accessibility features, and all new Endless Horde mode, and we'll be seeing this release onto the console from the 25th of April of this year. Another one of those games that appealed to me from the announcement was another Souls-like or hack and slash with a game of Tides of Annihilation that has you play as one of the remaining humans on Earth as you fight and take down the demons and creatures in the remnants of your destroyed version of London. And the game does look pretty rad, and the main character looks a little close to someone I can appeal to as well, and I'm all for playing this when it releases some point soon. We were then given a new look at the upcoming sci-fi FPS with Metal Eden that has a mix of either a story-driven narrative or a multiplayer action shooter game getting a focus, and could be worth a try, but we'll see by its release on May 6th of this year. And then the second last title for this direct was a new third-person FPS title of Mind's Eye, as made from the former head of Rockstar North of a soldier taking the fight into his own hands. It also involves a bit of high-speed chases and elements of AI interference. It seems interesting and could be worth a try and releases some point soon. And then the final game that was unveiled was the only PlayStation Studios title announcement, as we have received a new game announcement called Seros that is made by the studio behind the cool concept game of Returnal that will have actor and partner of Alana Pierce of Raoul Coley playing what looks like a special forces agent who is waging a war against a powerful entity known as Magnus. And even if it's just a cinematic announcement trailer, it has some really cool visuals looking at it. It'll be worth a try when it comes out some point next year. And that brought the end of another makes the appeal of a state of play, but sure, there was some I was expecting, like the rumored God of War trilogy or even the new look or release date announcements for Ghost of Yotai and Death Stranding 2, but for a few of them, they were some good announcements and fine with some getting release dates for their project. I guess we'll see more of these down the line and probably worth a play at some point real soon. But I want to know your own thoughts on these announcements and what games from this state of play are you excited for and what were you hoping to see unveiled at this event as well. Let me know what you think down below in the comments and we can discuss about them there. So this next story will not be as long as the last one, but we'll be focusing on a mix of 2 release date announcements and a confirmation of another project on the way that I had mentioned not too long ago but has now got confirmed development with some names attached making it. But we can now get into what we're talking about this week and let's focus on what we have to see. So we're starting the story with a focus of a return to a new film from a director that's quite the unique approach to filmmaking and style that appeals to many people. And that's of course with the director of Wes Anderson, as he's another new movie on the way and it's coming out very soon as well, as we got confirmed this week that the next title of his, which is the Phonican Scheme, will be releasing this year with limited release on May 30th before the opening nationwide on June 6th. And we'll see an all-star cast including Benicio del Toro, Michael Cera, Mia Freppleton, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, and many more big names all joining for another madcap story from this director. Now, not much on the story plot has been given, but I'm sure in due time we will see the first of the footage as we get a better idea of what is to be expected from a new Wes Anderson movie, but it's always a positive in my eyes, so we'll see how it all turns out real soon when this film releases by June. As for the other announcement of a release date, is one more video game unveiling that was announced before the state of play came out, and that is with the new entry from Software in bringing out the new Elden Ring Night Ring title, which is also got a release date for May 30th this year. That will see you in a multiplayer title of gathering supplies and fighting enemies during the day, and then when night falls, you have to fight a boss with other players in co-op. And from what I've heard from people in the recent Networks test that some were invited to, that's quite a unique and ambitious experience. It'll probably be worth a playthrough, but I'm sure down the line I may give it a try, but we'll see when this game releases on May 30th with that release drawing near. And as for the rumored title I mentioned about 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, it seems that like no longer a rumor for a second time and is actually going ahead, as there's now confirmed a sequel to The Goonies is in the works. Now, no word on as to who will direct the movie or who's going to be starring in it, whether it's going to be the original cast coming back or an all new cast of characters. What we do know is that the film will be produced by Steven Spielberg and Chris Columbus, and the movie is being penned by Potsy Hansaroli, who wrote for Old Henry, Still the King, and Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. So the length of the running is kind of unclear on the appeal right now, but I'm sure we'll see in due time how it all turns out. There is a bit of me that's excited for this sequel, but also a bit that's very skeptical of wondering is this really necessary or if it just kind of feels a bit weird. But I guess we can find out more and more when the film starts development further down the line and who will be involved. But I guess we'll see in due time if it all comes together nicely or a complete disaster. But what are your thoughts on these brief stories, and are you excited for a new Wes Anderson film? And are you ready to take on the Night King? And would you be down for a sequel to The Goonies? Let me know what you think of all these thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. And our final story for this week is one of the usual array of focus of some casting news, and we have another update of some additions to a film that has started production recently, and we have a rumored and finalized actor taking on a role already seen in the film, in recent memory, on a new take on a franchise that feels like it doesn't really need it, and also 1 or 2 names rumored for another franchise. But let us delve into these casting announcements right now. And yes, it's another week, and it's another announcement of some more new casting announcements for the upcoming Christopher Nolan film of The Odyssey, as we have 2 other names joining the starred cast. Already consists of names like Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, Charlize Theron, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, and many more. As on Friday this week, we got the announcement that X-Trilogy star Mia Goth and Piano Lesson and Straight Outta Compton star Corey Hopkins have both been added to the outgrowing cast of characters of this literature epic of epic battles and gods, and all the cast so far has been the top tier that I think so far in this regards. Now, of course, like all the other cast members, we really do not have any idea as to who they will be playing from these stories written by Homer, but I am sure with the film entering production in Morocco now, and large practical sets like a Trojan horse and a giant 6x6 meter creature being built, we may see some ideas of what characters these actors may be playing in due time from leaked set photos, but I'm sure it will fit them well, and in most sense may see a few more names join the film in due time, but we'll see as production goes along. Now, in a series that feels a bit unnecessary given the last adaptation is still recent, even if that series started 20 plus years ago, as with the planned series adaptation of Harry Potter for HBO Max. As of this moment, we have no clear idea as to who's playing what character, with the main trio not officially announced as of yet, and some rumored names floating about for some roles like Snape and Voldemort, and for the basis of this casting is with the iconic wise old wizard of Dumbledore. As well, we had a rumored name already with Mark Rylance, it may be a new name has appeared in recent days and could be be near finalized, as it was announced that actor John Lithgow has been in talks and maybe near final negotiations to play the headmaster of Hogwarts himself. Nelson has seemed to do a good performance with the role, as he has shown his range of emotion in the past with many different projects. And in all sense of the case, it is sort of funny hearing just Lord Farquaad's voice playing Dumbledore. This is my own thing, but I'll give it a chance in this case. But again, it's still a series I feel could do with giving the full source material its chance of focus, but with people's opinions on the IP's offer and the original film series still being relevant in today's culture, I'm not sure what to think of it all. But I guess we can see out in due time when it starts production some point this summer and we see the full cast come together, but we'll see. I don't know yet. And one final casting rumor that is going around, we're heading back once more to the realm of superheroes and the MCU, and talking about a team that has not yet been fully formed, but we're slowly starting to see appear in the series, as with the planned film focused on the X-Men and the mutants. Now, it's been quiet for a bit, and we've had a few names and characters already rumored, with likes of Sadie Sink being eyed for Jean Grey, Harris Dickinson for Cyclops, and Julia Butters for Kitty Pryde. We have another member of this team of heroes being in discussion going around this week, as with the character of Rogue. And there is two names that I have heard that were in talks, though one may have been more of a fan casting, but we're not going to discredit it yet. It's reported that the character could be played by either Substance star of Margaret Qualley or Victorious and Dynasty star of Elizabeth Gillis. In all sense, either one of these actresses would appeal to me in that role, as I've seen their work in a few things, and they've shown their range of dynamics and will fit the character's mutant very well. Now, as I mentioned, I think this is just a rumor, like all your X-Men character rumors, so it may be wise to take this with a grain of salt for the moment, but for the choices of these mutants, so far they've been decent. Hopefully the track record for them will continue until everything has been probably finalized in due time, but we shall see down the line of this team fully forming. But with all that, I would like to know your thoughts on these casting stories, and who do you see the new two additions play in the Odyssey? Who are they playing? Do you think Lithgow is a solid choice for Dumbledore? And do you see either of these actors working for Rogue, or who else would you see cast for that character? Let me know what you think of all down below, we can discuss them there. With all that, that's all the news that we have for this week.
Buck will see you in court. Good day to you all.
And now, with all that ends episode, I believe it's 91 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed this probably longer episode than expected in this case, but there's been a bit of discussion this week. So, let's delve in a quick few updates on what we have for this week in particular. So, I'm going to start with reviews. Now, I had to kind of sit down and how to think on it. I'm probably going to focus probably in the next little bit on trying to get some award season film reviews. It might be a little after the Oscars as well, but probably maybe aiming for probably reviews for Dune 2, Wicked, Wallace and Gromit, and maybe Amelia Perez. That's probably the four I'm kind of aiming for to give some focus on. Amelia Perez I'm probably not going to get too much long on, because I know there's kind of a focus story in it, but most people have already given their thoughts on this, and I just can't really give my quick thoughts in that regards. Those are the ones I'll probably give a bit of a focus or review on, but we can see down the line. Maybe even with Dune I might do the 2 parts, and then Wicked I'll probably follow up with part 2 down the line when that comes out, but we'll see. And then some other simple reviews, and then I have listed down where I'm going to have short form, which is going to be a couple minutes, normal, which will probably be max 10 to 15, long form where they could go on longer like my normal reviews have been normally, but we'll see in that case. So I look forward to that. Gameplays then. I haven't really gone around to recording gameplays this week as I was busy sorting some bits out, life stuff, there will be more gameplays coming. I do have at least 2 more parts of Last of Us 2 upload. It's basically the bus depot and then the hospital. That's really it, and then the game's finished. And then I gotta figure out what I'm gonna play on the PS4. I've got a few games there I can see. I got one or two other ones. I got Mortal Kombat, I got Dead Space remake, I got a couple ones there, so they'll probably be down the line. Maybe do part 2 or something, but I'm probably gonna give it a little break and Last of Us for a bit and then go on to something else, but we'll see. So gameplays will be coming as well, the likes of Mario Wonder and Cyberpunk are gonna start, and I'm gonna figure out some timing wise as well, and then keep an eye on some release schedule for some other games coming out, so they'll be coming along. And then long form stuff. So the case instance, I'm gonna start writing down the Oscar stuff probably this week. At least start it, hopefully by the end of the week have it all filled out, record it, and then edit it over the next week or so to have it out by the following Sunday, and the Sunday coming the following Sunday, which is the 2nd of March, to have it out for the Oscars predictions to see if I'm accurate, and probably maybe throw in a bit of the drama discussion as well. I don't know. This year's Oscar one is fucking all over the place, so bear with me in that case. Then Rewatchathon will come as well. AI video is going to come as well. Horror Mouse Boar is probably going to come along, and I'll probably figure some other long form stuff for this year, but we'll get to that in due time in case, so keep an eye on my stuff and all instance. But with all that, I think I should let it there. So if you enjoy my content and want to see more from me and more frequently, then simply like and subscribe, as I upload new stuff every single week. And as of recording, I think I've just checked here, I've passed 150 subscribers. Where these 50 came from the last 2 weeks, I have no idea. This is a coincidence. But I appreciate all those that have, like, you know, I was chatting with or followed me or subscribed to me, and we've had a little conversation in comments. So appreciate all of you. It's kind of my goal I think I had initially for the 2-year anniversary, so maybe push it to 200 for the 2-year anniversary, or maybe even more. I don't know. I think a friend of mine said to do for 1,000 for the end of this year, so maybe we could. We'll see. But we'll get there down the line. And as always the case is, if you enjoy my content as well in particular, you can like and subscribe as I mentioned, and upload new stuff every single week, from gameplays, long forms, reviews, anything I have available, so look forward to that case. And let me know your thoughts on everything that was discussed this week down below in the comments as well, from like the new releases, the trailers, and the news stories, and give your thoughts and opinions on if you've seen any of the new stuff, thoughts on the trailers, and your things on the news. But I'd love to hear all of that case. But I think I shall end there for now. So, as always, you all stay being wonderful people and have a great day every day, doing many great things, and to keep being you, because no one else can do what you do. Now, I've been your host, Sam. I hope you all had a wonderful little Valentine's weekend with your significant other, or by yourself, you know, just treat yourself nice to stuff. And I shall see you all in the next video. So, hope you all stay being awesome, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.